Hello. How far do our rights go? When is it religious rights to our rights? Welcome to another episode of The Wandering Prodigal. So recently I've been seeing a lot of posts involving our rights. How far have they gone to? What are our rights in certain times of crisis, such as a pandemic? And, are our rights being infringed upon? Such things as being told to stay home, being told we have to stay away from our friends and family, and being forced to wear such things as masks in public. But what are our rights? Does being forced to stay home during a pandemic infringe on our rights? Does being forced to stay away from friends during a pandemic infringe on our rights? And do we have responsibilities? Those are a lot of questions that have been coming upon me lately. And, there's just a lot of feelings I've been going to this. But what are some of the things that have been driving those feelings? First, I think it's fear. A pandemic. People are getting sick, people are dying, and being faced with that possibility that something as awful as just being extremely ill. In this particular case, we've had a pandemic that's been upon us that's making people have a horrible time breathing, coughing, and in many times those people have been inflicted on being forced to go to hospitals because they're so sick and they're being put on ventilators and in many cases dying. But that's a major fear, and our natural inclination is to try to deal with that fear. And many people, their way of dealing with that fear is to try to deny it. And that's one of the things that's been leading to this. It goes into this next whole thing as a persecution complex. The idea that your rights are being persecuted upon. The religious right has a major problem with feeling like they're being persecuted upon. This is something I'm planning on looking at in a further video. But a lot of people, a lot of the religious right, they've felt like they've been persecuted upon over the last probably 3-4 decades. It's been a growing thing that's been happening. Many things have been feeding into that. One of the things, and is my next point, is other religious right movements, such movements as the moral majority that came about in the late 70s. You have groups such as Focus on the Family, and religious leaders that have been looking at some of our rights, and they've been totally misinterpreting them. But a lot of that has been feeding into this whole fear of feeling like that they're being infringed upon. They think that they have a lot of rights, an unlimited amount of rights. But they felt like that's all been infringed upon. We've been seeing a lot of demonstrations that have been going on. We've been seeing a lot of people posting a lot of misinformation on the internet in order to be able to downplay such a crisis. Right now we've got a pandemic going on, and a lot of people have been downplaying that. Most states have been told you have to stay home. Granted, they're mostly starting to relax a lot of those restrictions, but a lot of it's due to a lot of the people that have been complaining about this. And I can understand this. Even I was talking to my sister last night, and she's been feeling a lot of the anxiety of having to stay home, and she was kind of getting upset, even though she understands. It's just the mental toll it's taking on her, and she hasn't really figured a way to be able to work around that. So just a lot of these things are just feeding into this whole idea of our rights are being infringed upon. But, one of the things we need to look at is that we have some responsibilities here. We have a responsibility to ourselves, and we have a responsibility to take care of others. Those are the first and foremost things that we need to look upon. Rights are one thing, but in order to have rights and freedoms and liberty, we have to take responsibility. And taking care of ourselves and taking care of others are first and foremost on those. If we're not taking care of ourselves and taking care of others, we've outstripped those rights, because then we're infringing on other people and their safety and their well-being. Only then can we say that we are having our rights. If we're taking care of that stuff and they're still being infringed upon, yeah, then we have our rights that are being infringed upon. But first and foremost, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of everybody else around us and make sure that we're safe, that our emotional and physical well-beings are being taken care of. And so, please, if you feel like your rights are being infringed upon, take a look at those two things first. If, and only if, those two things are being taken care of, then we need to look at the fact that maybe our rights are being infringed upon. But beyond that, we're doing okay. So coming up, I'm going to be taking a look at some more aspects that are going to be feeding into a lot of the things that are coming in that we're seeing around the country and around the world. One of the things I want to take a look at is how come some religious right groups and people tend to deflect. A lot of issues that come up. There's a lot of facts out there, and a lot of these religious groups and religious people tend to deflect when they're faced with these facts that oppose what they believe. And I would like to be able to take a look at some of this. It's going to be going on to some other things that I'm going to be taking a look at. I want to take a look at the persecution complex. It's the idea that the religious right are being persecuted. There's a lot going into that, a lot that feeds into it, and I'm doing some research on that, and hopefully I'm going to have something out in the next month or so to be able to help understand what goes into that and what it's actually doing to this country. I also like to take a look at the religious right ideas of conspiracy theories that have been coming up and coming out, that I've been hearing a lot about, especially even through this pandemic we've been going through, and even beyond that. It's a major thing that revolves around politics. I hear a lot of conspiracy theories. I know that when I was going through my walk through evangelicalism, I tended to believe a lot of conspiracy theories. And that's one of those things I would like to be able to take a look at, why it's so easy to believe in those conspiracy theories. So I want to thank you. And if you like this video, I want to please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Thank you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.